Welcome to the Fantasy Q&A, where today I will be reacting and answering to all questions related to fantasy football and all things NFL. It's a weekly video series, and if you have a question that needs to be answered, a hot take for me to react to, or a player you want me to dissect and analyze, leave a comment down below, and follow the channel to see more videos like this one. Alright guys, every week the NFL season gets a little closer, training camp is right around the corner, so let's just cover a few more of these questions here. Malik Neighbors' health and production is the biggest question mark I have. Me too, buddy. I have him on my dynasty team, so I always try to keep up with what's happening recently in the news with Malik Neighbors. Currently, right now, he's not expected to be on the PUP list. That doesn't mean he's going to be ready week 1, but that is a good sign. That means the worst is behind us. But again, it doesn't mean he's not going to miss some time. He could be out for week 1, for the first couple games of the year, and in that case, if he does miss that time, does it affect his draft stock a little bit? Yes, it will affect it. Before he would be drafted around like 6 to 10, those types of receivers, maybe he's going to be drafted like 5 receivers past that. He'll probably be drafted more closer to 3rd round, probably. But even then, the reason you want to draft a player like this is because even if he misses time, even though you worry about the injuries, he still has all of that crazy amount of potential. He's so tough to guard. He has all the tools to be one of the best receivers in the game. We haven't gotten the chance to see it a lot after last season. We haven't even really seen what the chemistry is with Jackson Dart because we didn't really get that chance before the injury. But when he comes back and he works his way to 100%, I think we're going to see him get back right into the, maybe not quite top 10 if he misses too much time, but top 15 range is very, very possible. But this has got me thinking a lot about the rest of the Giants offense because this can affect everyone. Jackson Dart, he's always going to be fantasy viable because of his rushing ability, but outside of that, he's not going to have a lot of receivers to throw to. We saw that he struggled with that last season. Even now, he's not going to have Wan'Dale Robinson there. So who's he throwing to in terms of receivers? Darius Slayton? They picked up Malachi Fields in the 3rd round. He just looks like he's just going to stretch the field. I don't know what his capabilities are going to be outside of that, playing that like deep ball threat position. This makes people look at the tight ends, particularly Isaiah Likely, who a lot of people are projecting to be this big breakout tight end season. They want to see him as a top 10 tight end, which he hasn't had the chance to on the Ravens. I'm not quite as high as other people on Isaiah Likely. I know they still have Theo Johnson there. I think they want to use Theo Johnson. I do think that John Harbaugh used him a certain way on the Ravens, and he might still use him a certain way again. The contract doesn't mean a huge amount to me. Like 3 years, $40 million, you look at that, that's a big time contract. There are a lot of tight ends in the NFL that you would be shocked if you saw their contracts of like, really? They make that much? Like making around 10 plus million for a tight end. You don't need to have a huge amount of production. You just need to fit a role in the system, and they will pay you that type of money. So the contract is not like this big indicator that he's going to be this huge star for me. But if everybody thinks that's going to happen, this is the best chance to do it. Early in the season, with Malik Neighbors possibly out or not 100%, someone needs to step up in that offense. Maybe it can be him. But even outside of that, I think Theo Johnson's still going to be involved. This whole offense actually revolves around 3 men. It's not a very deep offense. There's not a lot of depth here. It's around 3 men, and they all have their own injury concerns. Malik Neighbors is coming back from an injury. Jackson Dart, they're concerned about him putting his body out on the line. Can he protect himself better when he runs out into the field? And Cam Scadaboo, dude, brother, dude, what are you doing? You went out at Fanatics Fest, and he went out at Fanatics Fest. He threw a backflip on his bad leg. The landing, I think, was worse than what people were making it out to be. But you don't do that at all. You shouldn't be doing that at all. And his supposed reasoning for doing this was, I've been doing backflips since I was 4 years old. I wanted to show people that I was still healthy. Cam, you want to know the easiest way to show people that you're still healthy? You go out on the field. Show it on the field. Get out there week 1 and then dominate, run over some guys, and then that's how people know you're healthy, because you're doing great. You're playing great football. You don't need to do stuff like this. I know he's not like shown to be the smartest guy in the world, but you got to be able to protect yourself. You are a super valuable asset to this team. Jackson Dart, Cam Scadaboo, Malik Neighbors, all three of these guys play a massive part on this team, and if any one of them goes down, it changes the entire offense, and it could all falter as a result. Bottom line is, it's going to be rough going early on, but when they're all healthy and all on the field, I think there is real talent and real potential with this offense, and they're going to be, at the very least, super fun to watch. Alright, moving on to the next question here. Does Mike Evans still have one more 1K season in him? Oh, absolutely. That is 100% a possibility. Now, the biggest thing with Mike Evans is actually same with our previous discussion with the Giants. It's all health related for him, but as a player, I'm not concerned about his age. I'm not concerned about him being 33 years old. I'm not really concerned about him being at a new destination because from all reports, from all the stuff we're seeing, the teammates love him, the coaches love him, and he's doing really, really great in practice. They're saying he's unguardable. I know it's early on. I know it's not even in training camp season as of yet, but so far from everything we're hearing, he's doing really, really well, and he's syncing up really well with the players and in this offense. You gotta look at the situation he's in. Look at the entire offense as a whole. He's under Kyle Shanahan. His quarterback is Brock Purdy. I know some people don't like Brock Purdy, but he is one of the most consistent, reliable QBs in the league when he is on the field. Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the league when he is on the field. You know, Ricky Pearsall. I know he didn't have a great season last year, but he was really starting to come into his own stride as long as he stays on the field. See what I'm getting here? It is all injury related, and I have no idea if this has anything to do with the electrical substation, but all I'm telling Mike Evans is if you got kids, and if there's a park within a 1 mile radius of that electrical substation, freaking get out of there. You're talking about a guy that has tied Jerry Rice's record for the most 1,000 yard seasons, and he would have broken the record if it wasn't for his own health getting in the way, if it wasn't for his injuries, his hamstring injuries. The situation he's in right now is the best situation he can be in, because George Kittle, he might be back week 1, but who knows when he's going to be fully 100%, or if he's just like rushing himself to get back on the field. Ricky Pearsall has had some chances, he couldn't stay healthy, and then there were games last year where he just didn't prove it very well. I think if he can get Brock Purdy's trust, and he can get something going quickly, absolutely 1K season is in the books. He could be a top 15 wide receiver this year. The dude might be 33, but father time hasn't hit him yet. Let's keep it that way. This is a question for the Dolphins. Can Malik Willis produce while the Dolphins try to rebuild? It's possible, but it's going to be tough. If we look at it this way, Malik Willis was coming in, you know, great story, started out, everybody kind of like wrote him off in Tennessee. He looked really bad when he got in for games, and then very quickly rebuilt himself on the Packers, and now he has signed a big money contract with the Dolphins. He has a chance to prove himself as a franchise quarterback. However, on paper, this is one of the weakest offenses in the NFL. He doesn't have almost any receiving talent. His main receivers are Tutu Atwell and Malik Washington, who have never in any way like proved themselves to be wide receivers 1 and 2 on any team that they have proven that they can be those guys to any extent. Even some of the guys that they drafted, like Chris Bell. I like Chris Bell. I think he has a lot of untapped potential. He's still recovering from a torn ACL. We don't know when we're going to see him, and if he does have an impact, it will probably be closer to the second half of the season. You know, I don't know if you guys know this, but being able to pass the ball is pretty important for a quarterback. I know he's a dual threat. I know rushing is a big part of his game, but I'm just talking about in general, it's going to be hard to be able to get the ball in other people's hands if you can't trust that you have the right receiving talent. But now let me play devil's advocate. There are a couple things where you can totally root for Malik Willis in this situation. One, his rushing ability. If this offense is as weak as it could start out to be, this could be one of the best garbage time teams in the NFL. I could imagine like he's using his legs to get away a lot in situations, and they might be down by like say 20 points, and he's just chucking it out there, trying to see whoever's open, and maybe you get a bunch of dump off passes to Devon Achane. Yeah, because what if they're a team that is stuck in so much garbage time, so many games where they are down by a huge amount of points, that he just gets a bunch of dump off passes. For PPR, he could be really, really great. So if all that goes to plan, then he can be a pretty good like backup. He could be a good backup QB, maybe a good, if you're in a super flex league, you can absolutely use him in a super flex if he can get that kind of production. If garbage time is not even a possibility because they can't get it down the field to begin with, then I'm a lot more worried, then I'm a lot more concerned. There are other guys I'd rather take the chance on. rather than this minimal, low effort Dolphins offense. Moving along, we got another receiver question here. Will Travis Hunter play enough wide receiver to be worth a fantasy pick? I don't know, man. As more time goes on, it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle to try to see if he's even fantasy viable at all. Let's look at the whole situation here, because going back to last season, it looked like there was going to be an opportunity for him to break out. He was starting to have some really big catches in some really big games, and we thought, okay, this is it. There's injuries to Brian Thomas Jr., and the rest of the receiving depth talent was kind of low at that time, so this was the time for the breakout. Then he got injured, and then he's out for the year. He's still currently recovering right now. They're easing him back into it. But for a guy that's trying to learn offense and defense at the same time, a season-ending injury like this is a worst-case scenario because he needs a lot of development to get both sides of the ball. And now coming into this season, it's a whole different ball game. He's got at least 3 receivers he has to try to compete with. You've got Brian Thomas Jr., you've got Jacoby Myers, and you've got Parker Washington. Jacoby Myers is a very good, very underrated receiver. He's going to have his role. Brian Thomas Jr. is looking to have a bit of a redemption year, a bounce back. He wants to prove that he's much better this season. At the very least, he's going to be used as a great deep ball threat. Parker Washington is great for the slot. He looked really great last year, excellent last year, when in relief of all these injuries, and he comes in and he has a chance to really do well in an offensive system that benefits him with Liam Cohen. And even though he's an offensive-minded head coach, if I'm Liam Cohen, you look at all the receivers you have currently, and then you look on the defensive side, there's a massive weakness at cornerback. You need a guy to be out there more. And I think there was a report earlier in the year that they might be looking to move him more towards defense. Having Travis Hunter in the offense is a bit of a luxury at this moment. You don't really need him. I didn't even talk about Brendan Strange. You don't necessarily need Travis Hunter. You want Travis Hunter. You would like Travis Hunter because he's a great player, but he could be a lot more useful and a lot more dynamic as a player on defense. This could help them win more football games. And I think if you're the head coach, you have to look at that, even if you really want to use him on the offense. But of course, he's still going to have some role on offense. No matter how little, they're going to bring him in for gadget plays. They're going to bring him in for trick plays. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of big moments where they're going to need someone like him. But I think the only chance that we see him be a real, proper fantasy viable option in this offense is if injuries strike, is if Parker Washington goes down, or Brian Thomas Jr. goes down, or Jacoby Myers. And it has to be more than just one. It's got to be a couple of guys at least for him to be looked at and be like, okay, there really could be something here. They would have to move him from the defense to the offense because they would need that. That becomes a need. He's no longer a luxury pick at that point anymore. I wouldn't have super high expectations if you're looking to get him, but if you're just looking to grab him near the end of your draft, I'm talking about in the last few rounds as just this wild shot in the dark type of dart throw, why not? Once you get into the later rounds, whoever you're going to pick up at that point anyways might not be on your roster by week 4. If you want to try something very high risk, high reward, go for it. All right, last question of the day here. Will my rookie 109 undrafted turn into a usable player at any stage? Rookie pick 109, if we're looking at a standard dynasty league, I don't know, let's say if it's 10 team, if it's 12 team, if we're talking about the 9th pick, you're probably going to end up with a Jets player. You're most likely going to end up with someone like Omar Cooper Jr., or you're going to end up with Kenyon Sadiq. So, sorry if I take this question the wrong way, but I actually want to use this question to then talk about the Jets rookie players that they drafted in the first round, because this seems like a good chance to actually talk about them, to see what their value could be for this upcoming season and beyond, because you said at any stage. It doesn't need to be for this season. It's going to be tough for those guys. For Kenyon Sadiq, he's coming in. He has a lot of potential. We all saw the 4.39 40-yard dash. He has all the makeup of what an elite tight end would look like, but minus some of the production that he didn't quite have in college. He didn't have a massive stat line. He didn't produce like a Brock Bowers. He's more of a developmental project. He's more of a guy that's if you can bring him in and he does right, he can be one of the absolute elite tight ends of the NFL. And I think it will take some time, especially since he's currently injured right now and he's trying to get into training camp. I think we're not going to see anything from him until like later in the year. And I mean like real fantasy production. Kind of like Colston Loveland. Remember how Colston Loveland first half of the season, you kind of just completely forgot about him, and then as the season went on, he started to get more and more consistently involved. And I think it will probably be the same for Omar Cooper Jr. He's gonna end up on the starting roster because have you seen the Jets wide receiver depth chart? He's gonna be there. He's gonna be their slot receiver, something they badly needed. They needed another dimension to the offense, and this adds another dimension. And I think he's going to be good in that role more long term. I don't know what his fantasy usability is going to be for this season. I just think it's probably going to be pretty low because this offense still has a lot of things to figure out. These are young, talented pieces that I think are great for the future. But is Geno Smith going to do something with them? Because I was pretty convinced last season that when he went to the Raiders, it's like, oh, this is a good improvement. He'll at least be steady. And then he had the worst season he could have possibly had. The Raiders had the worst season they could have possibly had. So I'm not going to assume this Jets reunion is going to be a great thing. Will he be better than Brady Cook? Yeah, sure, of course. I think anyone would be better than what Brady Cook was offering near the end of that season. But like previous seasons, I think the only person that will really benefit offensively in terms of all the receivers will be Garrett Wilson. Everyone else, it will either not happen this season or it will take a lot of time to get there. You probably won't see it until maybe after the double digits of weeks, maybe by week 10 past, we might see some weeks where it's like, oh, Kenyon's looking pretty good. Oh, Omar Cooper Jr.'s showing up a bit. I think it's going to take a lot of time. And clearly this is the team strategy. They drafted these guys specifically for not just for this year. They're not looking to win this year. I think this is going to be a very poor season where they're going to do bad. And then when 2027 comes, hopefully they fire Aaron Glenn. They bring in a great offensive mind to mesh with all these new pieces. You sign a new quarterback, and then you see what happens from there on out. That's what I think their ultimate plan could be. If this is a well-run organization, it is the Jets, so they could easily just completely fumble all of that. But that is the hope, and that's what you draft these guys for. Kenyon Sadiq, if you draft him there, I think he can develop into a very great tight end. Omar Cooper Jr. is more of a wait and see of how good this offense can be long term, but I think he could be a very solid slot receiver. All right, as always, let's end this video off right. I will go over a randomly generated player right now. I have no idea who it is until I see it, and then I will dissect whatever their fantasy value is going to be for this upcoming season. Again, if you have any recommendations of who you want me to cover, you can leave a comment down below on the end of this video. All right, let's see who it's going to be. Sam Laporta. Yes! I was kind of hoping I would get the chance to talk about Sam Laporta because I actually really like him going into this season. First, I want to talk about where he's going to be drafted. For most leagues right now, if you're doing a PPR league, he's going in kind of a little lower, around the 8th round. He's going a lot lower in drafts than I thought he would. I thought he would be pushed a little bit further up, and it's usually around tight end 7, tight end 8. And I think that's actually a really good value. Let's look at the tight ends that are going above him. You kind of have multiple tiers. You have the Trey McBride, Brock Bowers tier. Those are the first two. Then the next tier is the second-year players. You've got Colston Loveland. You've got Tyler Warren. And then a little bit under that, you also have Harold Fannin. You have people taking Tucker Kraft. And then down at this point over here, down at this point, there's tier 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4, which is he's going in the same place as Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts. I know Kyle Pitts has gotten a lot better in this last season, but Sam Laporta, I would easily 100% of the time take more than Kyle Pitts. Last season, he was looking really good. He was having some really great weeks. I think he was finally getting back to a point that was similar to his rookie year where he was really playing like a top end tight end. And then he got hurt. He got a back injury and he was out for the rest of the season. I wanted to see how the recovery was going because at first people were concerned about it. And now, going into training camp, they're saying he's 100%. He's ready to go. He's going to be a full participant at training camp. Great. I think he's going to be super good this season. It's always been questionable the last couple of years being on the Lions offense because you have so much to compete with. You have Gibbs and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. But remember, this is still one of the top offenses in the NFL. I know he's not always super consistent. I know you're going to have dud games, but the tight end position. Unless you're getting the top guys, you're always going to have dud games. There's always going to be some inconsistency at the top of that position. Sam Laporta had like 3 top 5 tight end finishes in like the last 4 weeks before he got hurt. He was really on a roll. He was looking great in this offense. And I think that is going to continue going into this season, especially since it's a contract year. Unless they get a contract situated and sorted and done before the season starts, he's going to be playing his absolute freaking butt off to try to prove to himself, to everyone, to the Lions organization, to all of the fans that he deserves top level tight end money. This might be a bit of a bold take, but I think Sam Laporta has the potential, if he stays healthy, to have the best season of his career. I think he could absolutely 100% be in the top 5 tight ends of this season, and I think it makes sense on an offense led by Jared Goff, who has had 3 straight years of 4,500 passing yards. Will there be dud games? Yes, absolutely. With a lot of tight ends. Again, a lot of tight ends will have some dud games, but I think he will have a huge amount of upside going into this next season. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to support a simpleton like me, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. God bless, and I'll see you all next time.